All right, welcome back, crew, to the Love in the Land podcast, episode number 28. It seems, I don't know if that's a woo or whatever, but we're out here, 28. We've been rocking and rolling, but today I'm very excited for our guest, a very, very special guest to welcome to the podcast here today. She's a lawyer, correct?
That's true.
Yeah.
I usually try to hide that fact from people so they get to know me before they hate me.
Well, I said it right off the rip. So let's just be fully transparent here today.
Front.
National and regional Emmy Award-winning journalist. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Anchor, reporter, host, also the host of Ohio Has Issues with Mike Polk Jr. Is there someone else a part of that show as well?
It's mostly a two-person operation.
Operation.
We got Beebs.
Yeah.
We got Beebs on the 1 and 2s. Chris Beeble, he's our director, producer.
Yeah, well, got to shout out the director. She's also just an all-around badass and a good friend. She took the whole 8-step walk from her desk that's right over there to here. Thank you for your journey here today. We have Miss Steph Haney. How are you?
I'm great, Austin. Especially great because I get to be here with you.
I know. It's like now with like the new gig, I have to book people on my podcast to be able to spend time with them.
Well, you know, I'm honored to be among the other 27 guests. It only took him 28 episodes to ask me.
I know. Well,
I'm not salty about it.
Well,
no,
here we are, you know. And I also forgot to mention on the cover of Cleveland's Most Interesting People of 2025.
They did do that.
Look at you
I don't
go.
know what they were thinking. But
What are
hey.
you talking about?
Hey, listen, even a broke clock is right twice a day.
That's right. So I was nominated for that in 2020, and I started thinking about it because people are like, yeah, you're really interesting, all right. I'm like, it could be like a backhanded compliment, you know?
You are very interesting.
No, but like sometimes you're like, yeah, he's an interesting guy. Like
That's true. It depends on how they're saying interesting.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but like on text, you know, it's just like, I want some phonetics here on what you are really emphasizing in the word interesting.
We need it in a voice memo.
Absolutely, 100%. But congratulations on all the success. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been fun to be able to see you do it. So 2025, we got a new year. I'm not going to say Happy New Year because it's January 17th.
Oh my gosh,
It seems like that has, if I haven't told you Happy New Year by now, it just, you know,
Right.
whatever. I think by January 15th is the cutoff date.
I'm good with that. I
You
feel
good
like
with that?
that's a solid cutoff.
Right?
Yeah.
Finally took down my Christmas tree this week too.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, we got that done the weekend after the New Year. We just ripped off the Band-Aid.
Just rock and roll, you know?
You know, I would have been happy with keeping it up a little bit longer, but we do real tree.
So now it's a
And-
fire hazard.
It was crispy.
Yeah, now you're putting the whole neighborhood in jeopardy if
was
you leave that up.
Very crispy.
So, New Year, what's big for you in 2025?
2025, let's see. What do I have going on in 2025?
I know you have one big thing.
I'm getting married.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, we're getting married. It's not just me. There's someone else
well,
involved.
that's good. You're not just marrying yourself. It's a little egotistical if that was happening. But getting married to Mike Polk Jr.
Yes.
Congratulations. Mike is phenomenal. You're phenomenal. I will not say, I'm not going to ask you about how's wedding planning going. It's when you get married, that is all you ever freaking talk about. And thankfully, Allison and I had a 9-month engagement, so it's pretty quick, like pretty snappy. But everywhere you turn, it's like when you break your leg, people are always like, "How'd you break your leg?" You know. So, but how is wedding planning? Is it going good? What's the plans for it?
It's going well.
I don't know how are the plans going. I want to know what are the plans for the wedding.
We are getting married in a garden. We're getting married in one of the Cleveland gardens.
Lovely.
Which will be lovely as long as the weather permits. I put in an order for Betsy Kling already.
I love it. Summer wedding?
Yeah, well, late summer, early fall.
Okay, all right. So you should be good. Like September, October.
Yeah, middle of September.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for. One of the gardens, and then we found a really cool reception hall on the east side.
Cool.
It's called Aura Event.
Yeah.
Aura Event Venue, and it's super cool. It's like this sort of like chic warehouse kind of vibe. It's got these really cool freight elevators, like
Very
this very cute
Cleveland.
little courtyard in the middle.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little vibe.
I've never heard of that place.
You know, not a lot of people have had anything there, which is another reason why I thought it was so interesting and cool. It's kind of like a new space, and it's got brand new management. And the woman who is operating it now is just fantastic. Her name is Nicole Lang.
Yeah.
And I'm not being paid to say this. Trust. I wish I was, but
Aura,
I'm not.
that's 10% off. Use promo code #Stephanie Haney.
No,
Yeah.
but here I will say one thing that I thought was very cool about this venue is, you know, it's an uncertain time. And they were offering complimentary weddings to people in the LGBTQ community and also in the immigrant community.
Amazing.
Leading up through, the first part of January. So I thought that was super cool. And that was after we had already decided to work with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just worked out to be a really good wedding PR move.
Yeah, well, thank God they weren't just like terrible humans, right? Because we had already put down the deposit.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So getting married, what else you got going on this year?
Oh my gosh. What is going on in 2025?
What's the most exciting thing that's taking place in your career right now?
Right now, well, it's just it's kind of like an interesting position to be in. I've been doing this Verify Fact Check series, and that's something that continues, and that's something that is really resonating with people. Yeah. Getting a lot of messages from people about how helpful it's been. I will tell you what, I think probably on the horizon for me is probably looking more into, verifying what is AI and what is not.
Sure.
I get messages from people every day asking me if a video is AI generated.
Yeah. I mean, it is the wild, wild west.
It is.
And it's only getting more, and using AI, it's unbelievable. Like, first off, it can be an amazing tool. I think it's a lot like social media. It can be an amazing tool. It can, help your life. It can get your brand out there, but it can also, especially now it's the next level because I've seen videos and I'm like, I think this is fake. So, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, and it's getting more and more difficult to tell as the technology gets more sophisticated. So that's something that's interesting that I'll be kind of taking a closer look at. Here's my pro tip for anyone who's listening who's just uncertain.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody listening to this podcast might be uncertain. Usually,
my
the demo
mom,
skews a
my
little
dad,
later.
my wife listens once in a while. So there's 3 people in your audience right now.
All right, loves. Listen up. Don't send money to someone you've never met in person.
Yes.
That's my pro tip.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
Another thing, though, I am actually very excited about is I just joined the board of Plexus, which is the LGBTQ and Allied Chamber of Commerce here in town. So I'm super excited about working with them, growing that membership, and just doing what I can to hopefully be the best ally I can be.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So I do put together questions for people. Mainly just for my own sanity of walking in here. I feel semi-prepared, but I was going through, and this is such a stupid question, but
there
I'm going
are no
through
stupid questions, Austin.
Just stupid people, and I'm one of those people. But what is the difference between a lawyer and an attorney?
An attorney has actually passed the bar exam.
Okay.
A lawyer is someone who has just graduated law school. In order to call yourself an attorney, you have to have actually passed the bar exam. Which I have passed the bar exam.
So you're an attorney.
I am an attorney in Ohio and California.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to minimize. I didn't mean to take rank from your credentials.
It's okay. It's like one of those things like a square is a rectangle is not a square. An attorney is also a lawyer. A lawyer is not necessarily an attorney. So it's cool. You can call me a lawyer.
Well, now my mind is just completely blown. That's super interesting. So it's kind of like you can be a weather person, but not a meteorologist.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'm glad we got that cleared up because I was going through this and I'm like, it's kind of interchangeable when, in articles about you, it's like attorney or lawyer, the whole deal. But one thing that you've been able to do is, bring that law experience into journalism, especially here at WKYC where you do so many different cool things. But you've been here for what, 6-7 years?
5.5.
5.5? Yeah, we'll round up to 6.
Yeah, feels like 10.
Sure. Yeah.
In a good way. Because we've gotten so close.
Oh, so close. Absolutely. But, tell me about your time here at WKYC. I know that this was a little bit of outside your realm because you were at Daily Mail and you did a whole bunch of other different hosting things, but you've never done local news, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, coming here home to Northeast Ohio was the first time I'd ever done local news. So it's so important. Local news is so important. I don't think it can be overstated how important local news is, because at the national level, obviously they're talking about things that are of national concern and everybody's talking about, but they're not talking about the things that are happening in your city council meeting, in your county commissioners meeting, the things that are really happening, the state level law changes, which there are so many of. I've actually, at the start of this year, been doing a real series in my Legally Speaking series about all of the laws that were recently signed. Governor DeWine signed dozens of laws on January 8th that are going to be taking effect here, 90 days after that signature date. a lot of changes coming to Ohio.
100%, and it's also with local news. It's also, yes, about policies and things like that, but it's also promotion of small businesses and all of these different things. Where if we lose, the heartbeat of local news, and I tell people all the time, it's like, do you know your city council person? Do you know what ward you live in? Just to be ingrained in the community, I think is so important. And, you can sit there and, I watch national news, watch CNN, Fox, MSNBC, the whole deal. But also a lot of it is opinion based because it's, 24 hours and they have to fill time. And unfortunately that has been, filled with a lot of facts, but then also opinions surrounding the facts. So, you're watching and you're being more ingrained because you're going to watch something that you agree with. So now you're becoming more and more ingrained instead of what local news really is to the core. And it's not perfect, nor is anything else. But a lot of, I tell people, it's like, if you want non-biased, it's local news because it's typically you're sitting there and saying, here's the facts, you give the two sides, make up your mind on where you're kind of sitting the issue. And if to lose that is, in my opinion, detrimental to communities.
Yeah, and I think it's also really nice, the opportunity that you have at the local level is to put a human face on what's happening so you can actually find the people. The people are reaching out to us, letting us know what's going on with them, something that's really important in their world. And if it's important in your world, it's not just your world. Sure. It's going to resonate with other people, particularly in your community. Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge you had coming into local news? Because, Daily Mail, TV. I got the whole rap sheet here. I didn't know a lot of this about you. It's on her website, stephaniehaney.com. Go check it out.
Which has recently been updated, my annual update.
What? Yearly?
Yeah, I do it about every December.
Love that for you. I had a website once, and I realized that I hadn't updated in 5 years, and I'm just like, just time to get rid of this thing. But you had hosting roles with CBS, Undercover Boss. What was that about?
So I think it's been long enough that I can go ahead and talk about it now. I think the ruse is up. Everybody knows how Undercover Boss works.
Sure. Wait, maybe I don't.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't talk about it. Well, anyway, long story short, I will say this. I was working as someone who helped make the ruse work. So, the way Undercover Boss works is the people there think that boss is competing on some kind of show, and then they kind of sort of get behind the scenes in that way. So I was part of the ruse that makes the boss be able to go undercover.
What was the hardest one? Give me a good Undercover Boss story. Was there one where people were like, yeah, that's totally you?
Well, you know what? Actually, they do a really good job about it because honestly, too, I was doing that. That was in 2012, 2013 was when I was working with Undercover Boss, and it was really great. I traveled with them quite a bit. I actually got the opportunity to come home to Ohio for some of these. Rocket Fizz was one of the companies that was on Undercover Boss, which is a candy company. They've got one here in downtown Cleveland, but they also have a hub in Columbus. So I got to travel home to Columbus to be a part of that because that was one of the locations that we went to. Another company was Stella and Dot, which is like a wardrobe, fashion, accessories kind of company.
Sure.
But they do a really good job. And back at that time, too, it was less likely that you were going to know what your CEO looked like.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's only become, more and more simple to look up what somebody looks like. Like now you've got to have a headshot of your CEO basically on the website. It wasn't necessarily like that before.
For sure.
Or at least I feel like that's become so much more common. So they really, really do a really good job of keeping the bosses undercover.
Interesting. My favorite, and this is the SNL sketch of Undercover Boss, where it's Kylo Ren. Have you seen this one?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely hilarious. So it's Kylo Ren is the evil guy, but he goes undercover in the Death Star, and people are like, "Yeah, we knew it was you immediately. You suck." It's great.
That's good. I did have to see someone get let go because that's the tricky thing about Undercover Boss.
You got someone fired?
I didn't get someone fired, but I did see it happen because the gist of it is for the boss to go undercover, and what happens at the end is usually it's somebody who is having like a tough time, and the boss sees what a difficult situation they're in and what a hard worker they are, and then they end up getting at the end like, $100,000 or $50,000 or something that will really be life-changing to that person. I might be completely overstating the amounts, but a significant amount of money to that person.
Yeah.
But
or they get promoted or something.
Or promoted,
yeah.
right. Or sometimes they find out that an employee is just phoning it in and being like, hey, okay, so here's what you're supposed to do, but if you actually do it this way, it's fine and no one will know. So I did actually see someone get fired because I was also a part of watching the confrontations at the end, because at the end of an episode of Undercover Boss, the boss confronts the person and says, I'm actually the boss. And then the person is either like, oh no, or they're like, oh my God, I never would have told you that vulnerable story about if I had known.
Sure.
And then, the end result happens. So I did see someone get fired.
I would have absolutely gotten fired. If Tegna's CEO came here and he was like, so what do you do? I'm like, so they tell you to do it this way. I do it that way.
Yeah, but see what Austin is not telling you here, listeners, love, family, and everyone else that's listening, is that when he does it a different way, it's better.
Well, it's probably true.
Because
or more efficient.
He's just being humble.
No, I don't know about that, but So I don't even forgot what I was going with this initial question, but
my rap sheet?
You did, So CBS Undercover Boss, Travel Channel, sweet. Regular series on E, The Drama Queen.
Yeah.
What is The Drama Queen?
So when I was in LA, I worked at a TV hosting and talent management company.
Yeah.
And my boss was, quote, the drama queen. She was the title character of that show. Okay. So I was on a reality show. We had one season on E about that workplace.
So it was like Vanderpump Rules in the workplace.
I'm actually also on an episode of Vanderpump Rules.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Which episode?
I don't know what episode number
I sounded way too excited.
But listen, it's also not exciting at all because I'm just in the background eating dinner. I lived in Los Angeles for 7 years. So, and I did some work in the entertainment industry. So you would get casting notices, and there was a casting notice that was like, come out to Sir, which is the restaurant that is, at the center of Vanderpump Rules.
When they're filming, they're casted to be in the restaurant?
Sometimes, yeah. Oh, okay. And that night we were, so I grabbed two of my girlfriends. I was like, hey, let's go get free dinner at Sir. We'll be in the background of Vanderpump Rules. So you can see my girlfriend Melissa, my girlfriend Jen, and I in an episode of Vanderpump Rules having a delightful dinner.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If I were you, I would, and if I just gave no craps, I would have just tried to stir up as much drama as I could.
Well, I wasn't mic'd, so.
Yeah.
But you know what? Had I caused a scene, maybe they would have put a boom mic over me and I would have made it in.
You never know. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. All right, so we're learning a lot about Stephanie Haney. Also had guest appearance on OWN, TNT, Spike, NFL Network, Fox Sports, History Channel. I thought I had a pretty good run in TV, and then I looked at your resume and I'm just like, what the hell,
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of interesting experiences.
Yeah, so from all of that, then you went to, when did you kind of start going from the hosting role type deal into like Daily Mail TV?
So when I was living in Los Angeles, so that reality show was at the end of 2014. It aired at the very end of 2014. And then kind of in that spring and summer, I was getting a little bit restless.
Sure.
Feeling like I wanted to kind of sort of combine the things that I love. The reason I went to law school is because I really wanted to help people. I wanted to start my own nonprofit organization at one point, which might happen. You never know. Life is long.
Let's start it right now. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, well, as soon as we get off here, we'll file the paperwork. But I was getting a little bit restless, so I decided to apply for the Master's in Journalism program at the University of Southern California.
Okay.
Got accepted, and that's when I kind of started to make that transition into journalism. So I had a one-year program getting my Master's in Journalism at USC. That was 2015 through 2016.
Okay.
And after graduating there, it was just kind of like going from there.
Yeah. Well, I would hate to go back to college. I'm assuming that you're a person that loved it.
I did love it. I did love it. It was such a different experience.
Nailed.
Listen, I love a good spreadsheet. Like, give me a good email signature. I'm here. I'm here for it.
How organized are you? You have to be a very organized person.
I am very organized. It's true.
I loved college. Don't get me wrong. Like, I majored in beer and co-eds. But the actual schoolwork, that's what I didn't love. And you were like, oh my God, the assignment today is so exciting.
Well, undergrad was a different story. And law school was a different story.
Sure.
But I will say, taking that break before going back to get my master's in journalism, I was so fascinated because the reason why I went back was because, I mean, first of all, I didn't have an undergrad journalism background, which, you know, it's important to go through all the ethics of journalism and principles and that kind of stuff and learn those sort of nuts and bolts, which are pretty intuitive, but I think it's valuable to have that actual framework. But I went back to learn how to shoot video and edit audio and all of that stuff. That's why I went.
Really? Okay.
Which is not something that I couldn't have taught myself or couldn't have had a friend teach me or I couldn't have taken like a workshop or something online. But I was very lucky. I got a fellowship to go to USC so I could justify it.
Yeah.
And I was just immersed in that. I got to go to school full time as a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
Which is a luxury that I don't take for granted, and really just got to, you know, play around with editing and making videos and interviewing people. I got to interview Judge Judy at USC.
Judy!
Yeah.
It's kind of shocking about the American public about how many people think that she's on the Supreme Court.
Oh, they do. Because they see her on that bench every day.
Yeah. But if you hadn't have, you know, kind of taken that leap by also taking a step back, you know, because, you know, you took a step back probably from your career. You have to go to school and to be able to do that. I mean, how much did that propel your career and change the trajectory of not just your career, but your life?
Well, completely. I mean, I wouldn't be back here right now if I hadn't done that.
Sure.
You know, I do feel like everything that I've sort of done in life has kind of led to where I am now. I am a believer that things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm a believer in like fate necessarily, but I am a believer in things lead you to where you're supposed to be.
Sure.
So, I mean, I don't really know what I would be doing if I hadn't done that. I would maybe still be living in Los Angeles. I might have a legal practice somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess that's a possibility. I'm glad I did what I did though, because this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, but it's also the taking the next step to get more education. I mean, just talk to me about the importance of that, and because I mean, journalism, taking the extra step to, you know, be a lawyer, attorney, and then, you know, also doing. I mean, that's so important to be able to get all of those different skills.
So I think, in general, whenever you think about something, it can be very daunting and overwhelming,
Sure.
like the prospect of going to law school, the prospect of taking the bar exam, the prospect of going back to journalism school. The way I approach things, I have sort of a twofold philosophy, which number one is time is going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
So if it's going to take time, you might as well be working towards something. It's very trite. It's an overused phrase, but a year from now, you'll wish you'd started today. Is kind of like a mentality that I do try to live by. And my other mentality is, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know until you try.
Absolutely.
I believe that, you know, obviously there are extenuating circumstances and not everything falls under this umbrella, but I believe there are very few decisions that you can't undo if you end up taking a move and deciding that it's not for you. You know, you can even get tattoos removed, which I have done, by the way. So
look at you go.
Very few things.
Nothing's permanent.
Nothing is permanent. Very few things that you cannot undo if you actually do decide and realize this is not for me.
I wish that I could tell you that all my decisions have been based to do journalism, to now do real estate, and to come to Cleveland. I wish I could tell you it was all based in passion. A lot of it was based in regret, because I look at and I feel like I've done this since I was in high school and in college, and I'm like, well, in 10 years, because I was really at a moment where I'm like, do I want to do TV? Do I want to just do marketing? And, you know, obviously there's nothing wrong with that, but I definitely wanted I know that I had a passion in TV, but my decision to do it wasn't really based in my passion for television. It was really based in 10 years, am I going to regret this? Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. So, not to split hairs or argue with you about your own philosophy.
Oh my goodness, the lawyer arguing. Okay.
But I would say the way you describe that to me isn't basing something in regret. It's based in hope.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you're looking at it as, I don't want to regret not taking this chance.
Yeah.
Which is actually, that's actually, I guess if I have a 3-part philosophy, that's the third part, is if I make a decision, I really, really try to make decisions based out of hope and not out of fear. And it sounds to me like that's what you did.
Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, splitting hairs over here, yada, yada, yada. No, but that is a really good perspective, though. And I guess I need to work on my 3-part philosophy. You have put a lot of effort into it.
Well, to be honest, I just kind of decided that it was a 3-part philosophy just right now, because these are just basically like, if I had affirmations on the wall, those would be them.
I love it. And maybe it's going to be the title of your book someday, and I get 10% because I helped you come up with it.
You heard it here first, folks.
Absolutely. So, kind of looking back, when did were you interested in law? Were you interested in journalism as like a little kid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was the biggest nerd. Oh, my gosh. When I was in elementary school, I put together like a little newsletter for the classroom, and I had everybody's birthdays on it. I was in like 2nd grade, and I asked...
You love organizing.
I do. It was like a little 1-sheet newsletter, and I asked the teacher if I could pass it out, and I had like some of the students write a little joke, so there was like a little joke in there, a little contributor. Fast forward to middle school.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody out there remembers Chick Pages.
No.
Chick Pages was like the original like Weebly, or like the original like Squarespace, like drag and drop, make a website kind of thing, like very elementary coding sort of thing. So I had a gossip website in junior high, and it had all of the current couples, all of the recent breakups, and just gossip. I had to turn the comments off because some people were very feisty about the fact that I was airing this.
I could imagine.
Information.
It's also like the most... what's the word? Invulnerable time of your life in middle school. Like you're first starting to date.
There wasn't any commentary associated with it, but I was like, Bob and Jill are together now, but Bob was with Jen last week.
Whoa.
There was no additional commentary. It was very timeline based.
Sure, yeah. But all of that I got out of is Bob's a hell of a tomcat.
Yeah. Bob was a stud. He was a stud. So I had those journalistic roots.
Did people know that it was you, or were you anonymous?
They did know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't know.
So it wasn't like Gossip Girl of the 8th grade.
No. It was very out there. It was Perez Hilton of the 8th grade.
I love it.
Today Perez Hilton, kinder and gentler, just giving you the facts.
Sure.
But also in elementary school, I would force my friends to play court with me as well.
Wow.
And I would get so
You know how to party or what? I'll tell you what.
I would get so frustrated because we would stage a crime.
Sure.
So I knew what happened because we staged the crime.
Yeah.
And then we would have my friend Jen Baker's dad, shout out to Mark Baker, be the judge. And he would decide against me. And I was like, that's not what happened. And he was like, well, that's not how it works, Haney.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to get you so mad that we never have to play this again.
Yeah, that would have been a good move. However, it did not work. We continued to play.
Yeah, that is hilarious. So all you and your 3 friends, probably one of them was imaginary. You guys were just doing like fake mock trials for fun as a little kid.
Yeah.
That's wild.
We were doing that.
So then, graduated to more bigger and better though.
Yeah, we took it into the real world.
I love it. That is hilarious. So, all right, speaking of the real world, let's get into WKYC and kind of your time here. I think where I was going earlier was like, what was probably like the biggest transition that you had coming from, the world that you were in into TV? You had done live TV, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Daily Mail TV was a nationally syndicated show. Yeah. And I was a correspondent on that show.
Yeah. Okay.
So here at WKYC, I've got a little bit more of like a hybrid situation, and I think you can, relate to this because you do everything. You sometimes you shoot your own video, you do your own editing, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not doing my own editing or anything here on most things, not daily. On certain things I was making, pieces for Ohio Has Issues or something. Sure. But like if I'm doing a Legally Speaking segment or if I'm doing a Verify segment, we have a team of very talented editors here that I work with. Shout out to Matt Hine and Kelsey Frew. They are rock stars. I work with them on the daily. Kelsey Frew and I work together almost daily. Matt Hine and I sometimes. And they're so talented. But on one certain level, I am doing more hands-on. I'm producing a lot more. Like when I was with Daily Mail TV, I got a script. I would take the script, and I would work on it with the person who produced the script.
Okay.
So I wasn't even writing the first draft of a script. I mean, it was coming from reported stories. So in that sense, you're writing the first draft of a script, but not boiling it down for something for TV.
Yeah.
Writing for a website is much different than writing for TV.
Totally.
And I wrote for dailymail.com as well. So here, you know, fully writing your own script, you know, putting things into the software that we use to make it show up. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. So a lot more work at the local level.
It really is. Yeah. It's so funny when I used to show up to do stories, because it was like, I have my camera, I have the mic, I'm the only person there. I'll never forget this. I was in Rockford, Illinois, and I was going to do a story on a guy who started some kind of weird business. I don't know exactly what it was, but I remember showing up, and this dude was ready for the Today Show to show up. Like, he had, and he was such a sweetheart, but at his house he had literally a dozen donuts. He went out and got coffee. He had like other little treats and things like that, waters set up, and it was like so nice of him. And he's like, I'm kind of walk in and I have all my equipment and things like that, and he's like, all right, man, like, you know, whenever the crew arrives, you know, tell them to feel free to dig in. And I was like, crew's here.
The crew, yeah.
But it's so bare bones in local TV, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'm actually very lucky in the sense that the things that I'm doing are primarily in studio. I do get to go out into the field, you know, once a week. We do the First Look segment where we're highlighting stuff in the community. Sure. And, you know, for different investigative pieces and things like that, we'll go out into the community. But a lot of the stuff that I do is in the studio, just because of the nature of what it is. So I'm super lucky in that regard. That is a lot of work, showing up with your own camera and making sure the audio is good and the lighting is good and having the concept and the questions and all of that stuff. It is a lot of work.
There have been numerous times when I've been interviewing someone and didn't press record. So the worst, the worst. And then you're like halfway through. One time I did it halfway through and I didn't tell the guy. And I like said the exact same questions that I was probably like 4 or 5 questions in, and then reset all of the beginning questions, and I think he was like, all right, guy, like, what the hell's going on here? You
know what? I am the queen of saying, listen, I know I just asked you this. I'm just going to ask you it again a couple different ways, just because. Yeah. Just because.
Yeah. God forbid.
You know? You want some options. And you never know what someone's going to surprise you with when you ask them the same question a second time. They will dig deep into that memory. Yeah. And they will pull something out that they didn't say the first time.
Here's an interesting thing that I used to do with interviewing. Now we're getting real deep in the weeds here.
Deep in it.
So it's really interesting because if you ask someone a question, they'll tell you what they think you want to hear the first time around. If you don't say anything and just let the horrible awkwardness, silence go, they'll then kind of regurgitate to what they think they should say. And then if you don't say anything even longer, they'll actually tell you what they're thinking. I love that.
Silence is such a beautiful interview tool.
It is.
Do not underestimate the ability to just look at someone.
100%.
And just sit there and just wait for the words to come.
Yeah, and I think I used to, when I was in college, I'll never forget. I was at Daily Iowan TV. Sorry, and I was interviewing like Joni Ernst, who was like a senator now. I was like, I do not have the qualifications to do this. I just threw a kegger at my fraternity. Like,
you're a constituent, Austin. You are qualified.
I should not be here right now. But I remember like crafting this like super intricate question and like the whole deal. And I was doing an interview along with it with a guy from the KWWL in Cedar Rapids. And they gave me the worst answer just because I tried to sound smart. And instead of, he asked a question and got a great response. He was like, so what was the exciting thing that happened here today? And I remember thinking like, that's a stupid question. And then they proceeded to, and it wasn't quite that question, but they proceeded to then give a phenomenal answer. And I was like, wow, really the best questions are the simplest ones.
Do not underestimate the power of the question, what's most interesting to you about that?
Yeah.
Just the most open-ended thing.
Yeah. Or also the, after they say something. And then they're like, yeah, like they're super into this. And then they'll tell you kind of everything. What's kind of like the best journalism advice that you've gotten?
Oh, always ask a follow-up.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's it. No matter what the question is, no matter what the answer is, always ask a follow-up.
In terms of what?
Why is that?
Sure.
You know, anything. Just, you can ask any sort of follow-up question, but it does a lot of things. It actually makes you actively listen to what the answer is.
Yeah.
Rather than just thinking about what your next question is. It gives you a minute to let something breathe. It gives someone the opportunity to expand a little bit on something more. And, you know, be critical of everything.
Yeah.
Understand the source. Always consider the source of where the information is coming from, what somebody's motivations might be or their perspective might be. That's important too. Context is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So staying with WKYC, but more personal, this is where you met your future husband.
It is.
You didn't know Mike before being here.
No, I actually thought, interestingly enough, when I was applying for this job, he got hired a couple months before me, and so his hiring was announced while I was still in the application process. I thought he got my job.
Oh, are you serious?
I thought he got the job that I was applying for. I was like, oh
come on, man, dude.
It's like, what's this?
What was your initial, so Mike Polk, hilarious, comedian, just a fun dude, you know? Much like me.
A lot like you, Austin.
He's a lot. I'm a lot. That's how my wife describes me on our first date to people. They're like, so how was your first? And she was like, he was a lot. But what were kind of your first, thoughts of Mike?
I thought he was very smart.
Yeah?
It was very apparent to me very early on that he was very smart, very thoughtful, and obviously very tall and handsome.
He is tall and quite handsome, I would say. So when did you guys kind of start a courtship type deal? Did he make the first move or did you make the first move?
I actually slid into his DMs.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow.
I slid into his DMs. He made a comment. I was dating someone when I first moved back here, and then that relationship ended pretty quickly.
Sure, yeah.
And so I was single and was kind of watching one of his live hits, and he made a comment that seemed apparent to me that he was also single, because I didn't know. We hadn't talked about that, you know? And so I slid into his DMs and was like, you know, I just complimented his live shot. It was very funny. He had made a funny joke.
Yeah.
I asked him if he was doing any shows over the weekend, and then he gave me his phone number.
Whoa, the digits. Look at that.
Then that's how things kind of went from there.
I love it because that's a lot how like my wife and I met.
Yeah.
So we had matched on Bumble, and then we never talked to each other. And on the Bumble thing, it says on her, because Bumble, it's like the dating app where you have 24 hours to respond, and the women have to respond.
Yes.
And on her bio, it said, I don't check this very often, follow me on Instagram. I followed her on Instagram and did not message her. And
oh, rude move.
I know, I don't know.
Hard to get.
I remember talking to our old coworker, Jasmine Monroe, and I was sitting, and I'd probably been single for 9 months or something like that. And I asked her, I was like, oh, should I like DM this girl? And she's like, Austin, when has that ever worked out for you?
I love Jasmine. Coming with the truth.
100%. She was the truth teller. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. But then she slid in my DM. She reacted to like a story that I did with WKYC, and it just kind of went from there. But there's like, and I don't know the exact numbers, but the statistics are way higher for when women make the first move.
Oh, I didn't know that.
For like getting married.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know why that is.
Looks like both of us are testament to that.
But look at that. Absolutely. So cool. I mean, what is, I think everyone kind of knows, and I'm not turning this into a Mike Polk podcast by any stretch of imagination.
You could. He's very interesting.
He is interesting. But what is his, does he still get people to ask him all the time about the Cleveland video?
Oh, the tourism Factory of Sadness video?
Yeah, the tourism video.
The Cleveland tourism video.
Yes.
Yeah, both of those are classics.
Yeah.
And people love them. Yeah, people mention them to him all the time.
When I first moved here, when I just announced that I was moving to Cleveland, someone sent me that video. That was like my first introduction to Cleveland. And I was like,
That's funny. Yeah, it's a much different Cleveland than it was. I didn't know anything about Mike's background or any of that stuff when we met, so I got to learn all about that, after I came here and met him.
I love it. So kind of as we're winding down a little bit, in your career, when you're looking back, what are you most, I'm going to do 2 questions.
Okay.
And I know that's not a very good journalism thing to do. But,
do 75. We're here for it.
What are you most proud of today looking back? And what do you hope to be most proud of by the time you retire?
I'm really proud of our show, Ohio Has Issues.
Yeah.
I'm really, really proud about that. I think that we put in a lot of effort there and really did our best to try and hold people accountable and make people answer the questions that I think people had.
Sure.
To try and give people the best information that we possibly could leading up to this most recent election. So I'm very proud about that. That's something that Mike and I created and conceived of together. So that was also very cool that we got the opportunity to work on and collaborate on something that's very important to both of us.
Sure.
In terms of what I hope to be the most proud of over the course of my career, I just hope to be the most proud of listening to people and doing something that's very impactful to people. And whether that's on a really personal, individual level, maybe that's one person who is incredibly impacted by some sort of story that I'm able to help shed light on, or maybe it's a broader scale, maybe it's like a broader societal change that comes about because people become aware of something. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I do know over the course of my career, the thing that will make me the most proud is if I'm able to have some sort of a impact.
Yeah. Yeah. If anyone wanted to, like, young person that might be listening to this, they're probably not because my mom only listens to this, but
your mom is young.
Ish. But what it would be your advice for, especially women getting into journalism that might want to follow in your shoes? What would be the advice that you would give them?
Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Follow your passion. Try not to make decisions based out of fear. Try to make decisions based out of hope. And be prepared. Being prepared is the simplest form of guaranteeing luck.
Sure. I love that.
Because you got to be ready to get lucky. And it's just about being prepared when that opportunity presents itself, I think.
I love that perspective. I think that the times that I have fumbled an opportunity, it's because I was not prepared for it. And having preparation is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's true. I will also put one caveat on that, though, as well. You cannot be prepared for everything.
Sure.
So don't kick yourself if something comes up that you didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
Just take that as an opportunity, as a learning moment to be better prepared in the future. And maybe that'll help you anticipate something that you maybe otherwise might not have. And don't talk yourself out of any opportunities.
For sure.
Because if something comes your way and you think, I'm underqualified for this or whatever, this is advice that I think is very specific to women. I do not remember the exact statistics, but I do remember that men statistically will apply for more jobs when they are not 100% qualified for them on paper, and women will apply for less jobs when they're not. Women are usually typically applying for jobs they're overqualified for,
Sure.
I think statistically. So let's try to get out of that mindset, we should be putting ourselves in opportunities to grow and in spaces where we can grow. If you are the best or the smartest person in the room, I truly believe that you are in the wrong room.
I agree. Yeah. That just remind me, I have stupid confidence, and I'll just sign up or pitch something or whatever it is. I have no idea what the hell to do. I'm like, I'll figure it out. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, that's good. You'll figure it out because you have to.
Absolutely. All right. Let's do some quick hitters.
Okay.
What do you think? All right. And I have an idea what you're going to answer with this for, but I'm excited to see. What TV, movie, or book character do you most identify with?
Oh, Elle Woods.
I knew exactly you were going to say that.
What?
I
It's hard?
Yeah. Favorite Cleveland restaurant?
Favorite Cleveland restaurant? Oh, you know what? I'm going with a new one, Sushi N. I really love Sushi N.
I am excited to try. I'm going there for lunch today.
It's good.
Yeah.
And it's affordable, and it's great sushi. And I just went there for the first time a couple nights ago with girlfriends.
What's your go-to, shout out girlfriends, what's your go-to sushi?
I love escalar, white tuna nigiri.
Oh, yeah.
Melts in your mouth like butter. Obsessed. I also love yellowtail jalapeno with ponzu sauce.
Ooh, okay. Now I'm
Very
hungry.
good.
I love that. If aliens came to Cleveland and we needed an ambassador to represent the city and to give like the first kind of, impression of the city, who would you choose to represent Cleveland?
Obviously, Mike Polk Jr.
I think Mike would be phenomenal.
He would be great. Also, I'm not convinced that aliens are not already in Cleveland, but Mike Polk Jr.
Sure.
He might be one of them.
Mike might be an alien. That is a legit thing. What is your favorite law loophole?
My favorite law loophole.
Like a loophole in the law.
That's a good question. Listen, this is probably going to be a very unpopular opinion.
Sure.
I'm very intrigued by tax laws.
Okay, yeah.
And I think, people get mad about tax laws and people get mad about corporations taking advantage of tax laws.
Sure.
We should change the laws.
Yeah.
Like, that's my philosophy on that. They are utilizing the laws that are in place. If we do not like it, we should change them. I am very intrigued by tax laws.
100%. All right. Did you pay your taxes this year?
Yes.
Good for you. Congratulations on all your success.
I am a taxpaying member of the country.
Something about you that most people would be surprised to know.
I'm a tech nerd. I don't know if people would be surprised to know that or not,
Sure.
but like my website, I coded that by hand.
Look at you go. Well, it's because going back to 8th grade, you learned elementary code. It's so funny, but the difference between social media now and social media then, I'm going back to MySpace, but it's like everyone was a coder.
Yes.
Like you were able to like code your entire like thing, and now it's just like built in for you.
It's true. I did learn to code at USC in that master's program,
Yeah.
which was incredible. I cannot say enough good things about it. So my website now is a shell of a website that I built at USC, and I just update it.
Look at that. Look at you go.
I have to refresh my memory on certain things
Sure.
once every year when I go to update it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's my FTP login?
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
File transfer protocol for
I don't know.
anybody wondering.
Oh, there we. I was wondering about that. All right, last thing we're gonna do: snake draft Mount Rushmore of Cleveland figures.
Snake
So
draft, Mount Rushmore. What does that mean?
So, I guess we won't do. Well, it's technically it is a snake draft, so it is me and you. So we're gonna pick.
Oh, we go back and forth.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll let you go first.
Okay.
So there's 4.
Okay.
And put your Mount Rushmore of Cleveland figures.
Tim Misney.
Coming out swinging.
Shout out to Tim.
Tim Misney, a friend of the show.
Yeah, I know he's
Friend
been
of the show.
on here.
Absolutely. All right, mine. This is the obvious one. Moses Cleveland. He founded Cleveland.
That's true.
Let's go.
That's true.
I feel like he doesn't get enough recognition.
He doesn't.
No.
Definitely not.
Also, just a bad name.
Yeah, it is
Moses
a bad-
Cleveland. Serious?
he had an extra A in there, but they shortened it
I know.
because of the headline or something like that at the time.
But I do appreciate that because we don't need an extra letter.
No, it's way better without that
I
A,
agree.
without
I
that
agree.
extra A.
Yep.
All right, Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas, yeah, also a friend of the show.
He's super nice too.
Joe is one of the most genuine people I've ever met. I love that dude. And he just acts like, because the first time I met him, I was super nervous. He just got inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I almost said Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He should be there too. But he was just so genuine, loved him.
I'm going to throw you a curveball right now.
Yeah.
We got 3 men on Rushmore. We need a woman, so you have to pick a woman for the last one.
Okay. Halle Berry.
Okay, good. Yes.
Let's go.
We love that.
You were trying to throw me a frickin' curveball
I know.
over here. Wait, but no, you have your Rushmore. I have my Rushmore.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay. I thought we were picking 4 together.
So I have Moses Cleveland and Halle Berry.
Okay. Okay, now I got to think of a good woman for it. I'm basing on her name right now.
Marcia Fudge.
Marcy Kaptur, actually. Marcy Kaptur has never lost an election.
Really?
Yes. So I'm going Marcy Kaptur.
Okay. Shout out Marcy. Bernie Kosar. Let's go.
Okay.
The GOAT.
Okay. So, Bernie is great too.
Yeah.
Also really nice. I don't know him on any personal level at all, but just met him a handful of times, and he's
amazing.
super, super nice. Okay, one more. Who are we gonna go with? I'm gonna go with Austin Love.
Oh, screw you. Screw you. All right.
I mean, that hair would look so good on the Rushmore of Cleveland.
Absolutely. Not that anyone's ever going to make a bust of my head, but if they did, I would be the most concerned about the hair. 100%.
But they got to get it right.
They can screw up my face all you want. Do not screw up the hair. I'll throw LeBron in there.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, LeBron.
There's so many good Cavaliers, too, that could go in there. There's just no bad option.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Of course.
Before we end this, do you have any questions for me?
Oh.
Not that you need to.
Jeez. How's life? How are things? How's the fam? Everybody good?
Fam's good. Yeah. The dog is just killing it. Benson, just the best. The wifey is good. Fam is good. No complaints.
What's next for you this year, quickly?
I want to continue to grow the podcast. I'm trying to sell more buildings, which is cool. Hey, if you guys need a building, I got you.
He is your guy.
I'm your go-to guy. Traveling a little bit more, which is fun.
Okay.
I'm not a huge traveler. I'll be honest with you. I don't like being away from home if I'm gone from home for more than 5 or 6 days, I really don't like it. I want to get back home. And I'm not like a homebody, but I just like routine.
You know, I think that's testament to the fact that you've created a nice home for yourself.
Yeah, right? I
love
Cleveland.
that.
I love that. I love Cleveland. And yeah, that's about it. So, all right, where can people follow you? Where can people get more information on you? All of your shows, the whole deal.
Yeah, you can go to stephaniehaney.com. Lots of information there. I'm on Instagram _Stephanie Haney. I am trying out Blue Sky, so find me on there.
What the hell is that?
Blue Sky is another social media app that is like Threads, I'll say.
Okay.
Similar layout to the former Twitter, now X.
Okay.
So I'm trying that out.
Look at how many people are on that. I've never even heard of that.
It's growing. It's
Yeah?
growing. I can't tell you the user data because I don't have it at my fingertips, but it is growing. I'm seeing more and more people kind of join Blue Sky every day.
Keep talking. I'm asking ChatGPT how many.
The
users are on Blue
usernames
Sky.
are interesting because it'll be like stephanie.haney.bksy. It's longer, but you know, it's there.
How many characters do you get?
You know, I'm actually not even sure what the character limits are.
Blue Sky. Let's see.
I'm also on TikTok for the time being.
TikTok? Yeah. Do you think it's going to get?
I do not think it's going to be banned.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think that we will continue to have TikTok.
27 million registered users on Blue Sky.
That's a significant number. I mean, nowhere near the user base on other social media platforms, but that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
So I'm kicking around Blue Sky, so catch me there.
Look at you.
I'm also on Threads, but like all of this is linked at stephaniehaney.com, truly.
Okay, cool. What's your home address so people can come visit you?
Nice try, Austin. Nice try. I live at the station.
There, yeah, good. Very nice. 1333 Lakeside Road?
Avenue?
Lakeside Drive Avenue? Yeah, sure, whatever.
I do a lot of Uber Eatsing here, so I know it's Avenue.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Steph, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for
appreciate
having
you,
me.
Of course. All right. Love y'all. Peace.